Adesewa, you can't keep living like this. You have to let go of these feelings for him. It's holding you trapped. Adesewa shook her head strongly, tears brimming in her eyes. You don't understand. My love for him runs deeper than words. We've shared dreams, laughter, and a future together. I can't bear the thought of my life without him. I can't. Pelumi interjected, her tone gentle yet urgent. But babe, this is becoming unbearable. You can't keep on waiting for someone whose path has vanished. He could be married, or worse, he could even be dead. Weight of the word dead hung in the air. Once upon a time, in the vibrant town of Matador, there lived a wealthy family known as the Adekolas. Among them was Adesewa, a bright and determined young woman whose beauty shone like the sun, captivating everyone around her. Yet, beneath her radiant smile lay a profound loneliness. As a freelancer, she skillfully crafted her dreams from the comfort of her home, weaving aspirations into reality. Still, she chose to remain under her parents' roof, where she felt warmth and love could envelope her like a cozy blanket. Regardless of her stunning beauty, Adesewa consistently turned down every marriage proposal from eager suitors, making her the talk of the town and earning her the nickname Sister. One fateful Tuesday afternoon, Mr. Adekola returned home visibly upset and irritated. As Adesewa's mother noticed his tense expression, she automatically moved closer to her husband, seeking to understand the cause of his distress. Mr. Adekola raised his voice, frustration evident in his tone, and said, "Call that daughter of yours your useless daughter." Immediately, Adesewa's mother grabbed the reason behind her husband's anger. The rest of the family emerged, drawn by the tension in the air, to witness their father's frustration. Adesewa met her father's gaze defiantly. "Dad," she began. Mr. Adedapo interrupted, his voice laced with irritation. "And who exactly is your father? It seems you have a problem, and now is the time for you to voice it to us. For I can see it is total deliverance you need." He continued, his tone growing more severe. "My friend Shiv Murewa called me today and informed me of how you disgracefully treated his son. In fact, you had the audacity to throw wine in his face." He reminded Adesewa, "You know this is not the first time, right? I've counted at least 15 men you've turned down at age 31, not to mention the rumors about others you've rejected. Because of this, I've lost business contracts with some of my friends." His frustration was palpable, each words laced with the weight of disappointment and concern. With anger, Mr. Adekola turned to Adesewa's mother and said, "You better talk to your daughter. She keeps turning down marriage proposals, or maybe she needs to be reminded that she will be 32 next month. Just know that I am tired. I am tired." He hissed in frustration and stormed off to his room, leaving a heavy silence in his wake. Adesewa's eyes filled with tears as she watched her father stomp away in anger. His harsh words hit her like a tidal wave, leaving her overwhelmed by disappointment and confusion. Adesewa's mother rushed to her side, gently rubbing her back. "Your father is really upset," she whispered softly. "We will talk later." That night, Adesewa clutched a letter tightly, tears streaming down her cheeks. Memories of Adedapo, her boyfriend, flooded her mind. Dreams of laughter, love, and a future together. "Adedapo, where are you?" she screamed, her heart shattering. "I don't understand myself anymore. I am lost without you." Pressing the letter to her chest, she sobbed, "I can't do this without you.
Please come back to me. Come back, Adedapo.
As days turned into night and night into days, Adesewa remained locked away in her room, consumed by her grief. Her mother, worried about her daughter's well-being, knocked gently on the door, but Adesewa refused to open it. The sound of her mother's concerned voice only deepened her sense of isolation. In desperation, her mother called Adesewa's two best friends, Omolara and Pelumi, both of whom were married with children. When they arrived, they knocked at Adesewa's door. Hearing their familiar voice, she reluctantly opened it, revealing unkempt figure. Her eyes swollen from tears, she sank to the floor, feeling utterly exhausted and defeated. Omolara stepped forward, her voice calm and caring. Adesewa, you can't keep living like this. You have to let go of these feelings for him. It's holding you trapped. Adesewa shook her head strongly, tears brimming in her eyes.
You don't understand. My love for him runs deeper than words. We've shared dreams, laughter, and a future together. I can't bear the thought of my life without him. I can't.
Pelumi interjected, her tone gentle yet urgent. But babe, this is becoming unbearable. You can't keep on waiting for someone whose path has vanished. He could be married or worse, he could even be dead. The mention of death struck a chord deep within Adesewa. Pelumi, get out of my house now, she shouted, her voice breaking with emotion. Pelumi, taken aback by her outburst, replied remorsefully, I did not mean to say that, but look at you. You will be 32 soon, and Adedapo, her voice trailed off, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavily in the air. Don't let time slip away while you wait for someone who may never come back. I said get out, Adesewa cried, tears spilling down her cheeks. Omolara, sensing the tension, turned to Pelumi and said softly, just respect her decision for now. Pelumi, feeling the weight of the situation, left quietly. As the door closed behind Pelumi, Omolara moved closer to Adesewa, kneeling beside her on the floor. I understand, she whispered. Adesewa looked up, her voice trembling as she asked, but Omolara,
will I be able to see him again?
Omolara, knowing the truth, but hesitant to share it for fear of upsetting Adesewa as Pelumi had, took a deep breath. I will keep praying for you, she replied softly, trying to offer comfort. God knows better. Later that same day, Omolara sat down with Adesewa's mother for a heartfelt conversation about her daughter's deep heartache. With a heavy heart, she shared the story of Adesewa's love for Adedapo, recounting how their relationship had flourished during their university years. Their love was the talk of the town, Omolara said, her voice thick with empathy. Everyone admired them. They were like a beautiful dream that everyone wished would last forever. But now, seeing Adesewa in pain, it breaks my heart. She deserves to feel that joy again. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in before continuing. But then, after their youth service, Adedapo sent her a note. Adesewa's mother turned to Omolara and asked, can you still remember what was in the note? Omolara sighed. I don't really think so, ma'am. But what I recalled vividly was a promise that he would be back soon. But that soon has turned into years, and Adesewa is still waiting, clinging to hope. Adesewa's mother listened intently. Each word from Omolara felt like a dagger. She has refused to move on, Omolara said gently, her voice filled with sorrow. It's as if she is trapped in a time that no longer exists, all because of a man. Watching her cling to those memories is heartbreaking. She deserves to find happiness again. Adesewa's mother looked at Omolara, her eyes sparkling with a mix of concern and hope. "I hope this is just a phase, or that she is not enchanted by that boy," she said, her voice tinged with a gentle worry. Omolara smiled reassuringly. "I don't think so, ma'am. Adesewa has invested so much of her heart in Adedapo that moving on feels like a distant dream for her." But Omolara sighed. "Adesewa needs our prayer." A soft sigh escaped Adesewa's mother, a sound filled with understanding. "Thank you for being so open with me. It truly means a lot to know what Adesewa is going through. Together with the help of God, we can help her find her way back to joy." That night, Adesewa's mother lay in bed, her thoughts running around the conversation she had with Omolara. She felt a heavy burden in her heart, knowing her daughter was suffering, but she also realized that sharing this weight with her husband would only lead to more drama. With a heavy sigh, she decided to keep her thoughts to herself for now, planning to have a one-on-one discussion with Adesewa when the time felt right. The following afternoon, Adesewa's mother walked to her door and gently knocked. "Please, can I have a word with you?" she called softly. Hearing her mother's voice, Adesewa hesitated for a moment, but eventually opened the door, allowing her mother to step inside. Adesewa's mother sat down beside her, concern etched on her face. "I understand how you feel," she began gently, moving closer. "Can I be truly plain with you?" Adesewa nodded, her heart racing with anticipation. Adesewa's mother continued, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "Do you know that loving a man goes beyond what you think you felt for Adedapo? Can you answer some questions for me?" Adesewa nodded, her heart pounding. "When was the last time you saw him? Has he called, texted, or sent anyone to remind you that he still loves you, just like he did back then?" Tears began to stream down Adesewa's cheek as she whispered, "No." Her mother's face tightened with concern, her heart aching for her daughter. Adesewa's mother continued, her voice soft yet filled with urgency. "What have you become because of your love for a man? I understand how deeply you love him," she said gently, her eyes searching her daughter's face for understanding. "But tell me, how can you be sure that the love you both shared back then is still welcomed by Adedapo now?" Adesewa's heart ached at her mother's words, the truth cutting through her like a knife. Adesewa clutched her mother's hand, her voice trembling as tears streamed down her cheeks. "Moving on is so unbearably hard for me, Mom. I love him with every part of my being. He has always kept his promises since the first day we met, and I believe he will keep this one too." Her mother sighed heavily, a deep sadness reflected in her eyes. "My dear, listen to me. God is the only one who truly keeps his word. Adedapo is just a man of flesh and blood. He can choose to say no tomorrow, even after all the yeses he gave yesterday." The weight of her mother's words hung in the air, and Adesewa felt a pang in her chest. The realization that love could be so fragile. Her mother's voice trembled with concern. "Adesewa, you will be 32 next month. We don't see any man in your life. You are not getting younger. You are getting older. Please, seek clarity from God through prayer." Adesewa's heart ached as she replied, "But Mom, the Bible says those who wait on the Lord will have their strength renewed. I have been waiting, and he has been giving me strength to wait for Adedapo. I believe Adedapo will come back to me." Her mother shook her head, tears glistening in her eyes. "Don't let the devil rob you of happiness and feed you with lies. I pray you see this soon." "Can I see the note Adedapo wrote to you?" she asked gently. Adesewa handed it over, her hands trembling as her mother read. A bitter sigh escaped her lips, the weight of lost dreams hanging heavily in the air. You need God intervene. My dear, Adesewa felt a lump in her throat as she hugged her mother tightly, tears streaming down her cheeks. I will, Mom, she whispered. A year later, Adesewa received a recognition that filled her with pride. She was invited as a guest speaker at the NASCO conference in Abuja, where freelance writers and journalists gathered to empower and educate the upcoming internet generation. The moment she stepped onto the stage, the applause washed over her like a wave, reminding her of the journey she had taken to get here. After the program, she eagerly reached out to her friends who lived in Abuja, excitement bubbling within her as she yearned to reconnect after so many years apart. Her childhood friends, Eric and Labisi, who were both happily married, arrived at the hotel where Adesewa was staying. Their presence a comforting reminder of the past. The three of them settled into the cozy room, laughter echoing through their conversations as they recounted cherished memories, childhood pranks, school crushes, and dreams they once shared. Eric, with a teasing glint in his eye, leaned closer and asked, "So is it because of your career that you've decided to stay off from marriage?" The room erupted in laughter as Eric continued, "Calm down, Miss Moneymaker." Adesewa chuckled, a hint of playfulness in her voice. "Yes, my career is my husband for now, but very soon you will be celebrating with me." They both chimed in a powerful amen. The warmth of their friendship enveloped them. Eric suddenly turned to Labisi with a mischievous grin. "Since Adesewa is not going back anytime soon, I have one of my colleagues' party to attend next week. I don't know if you guys will love to be there." Before Eric could finish his thoughts, Adesewa felt her heart race with excitement. "I will go. It's been years since I attended a party. I would love to be there." This was more than just an invitation. It was a chance to step back into the world and embrace life again. On this fateful party day, Adesewa was dressed in her finest, radiating beauty alongside her friends. They sat inside a popular, spacious hall, surrounded by the vibrant atmosphere as guests arrived in grand style. Sounds of laughter and chatter filled the air as the MC picked up the mic to welcome the couple to the stage. Excitement surged through the crowd. The DJ began to play romantic tones, setting a joyful tone for the celebration. In a moment that took Adesewa's breath away, the hall fell silent as the doors opened. There he was, Adedapo, the man she had waited for, standing proudly with his newly wedded wife. Her heart raced and shock washed over her like a cold wave. The dreams she had held on to shattered in an instant. The love she had hoped for was now gone. "Adedapo, Adedapo, Adedapo." The name burst from her lips. Her voice echoed in the hall, but the laughter around her faded into silence. Fear gripped Eric and Labisi, their face pale as they watched her fall apart. Adesewa felt her legs give way, the walls spinning around her. Gasps filled the air and whispers spread like wildfire. "Look, Adedapo," someone shouted, pointing horror. Adedapo felt a cold shiver as he saw the chaos around him. Panic surged through him and he rushed through the crowd, his heart pounding. What could have been happening? When he reached the scene, he was met with a sight that stopped him in his tracks. There lay Adesewa, her body still and pale, struggling to breathe. Fear gripped Adedapo like a vice, tightening around his chest. All at once, the memories of their shared past crashed into him, a wave of regret that felt both suffocating and familiar. Despite the tumor inside him, he fought to maintain his composure. He stood there, torn between the joy of his wedding and the anguish of seeing the woman he once loved in such a fragile state. His heart raced, and he felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him. As whispers filled the air, some guests turned to him, their eyes filled with concern. "Do you know her?" they asked, their voice tinged with curiosity. Adedapo swallowed hard, forcing a tight smile as he replied, "I am sorry, I don't think I've ever met her." The lie slipped from his lips, bitter and heavy, but he felt it was necessary. He had to protect himself, even if it meant turning his back on the truth. Eric, his colleague from work, stepped forward, his expression a mix of anger and disbelief. "She screamed your name, Adedapo. How can you say you don't know her?" The accusation hung in the air, sharp and painful. Adedapo's heart raced, but he maintained his teeth and composure, replying coolly, "I really don't know her from Adam. Please just take care of her." As Eric quickly lifted Adesewa into his arms, desperation filled his voice. "We need to get her to the hospital," he shouted, and the crowd parted in shock, allowing him to rush away with her. Adedapo stood frozen, watching them disappear into the distance, a heavy weight settling in his chest. The MC, sensing the need to regain control of the event, picked up the microphone, his voice booming as he attempted to bring everyone back to the celebration. "Let's continue with the wedding program," he announced, and slowly the guests returned to their laughter and their festivities, the music resuming its lively beats. Throughout the wedding program, Adedapo's mind was stuck. Why did she have to faint? He thought, glancing at Adesewa. She seemed so fragile and distant. She should have moved on with her life by now. The reality hit him hard. He had built a new life, and marrying her was no longer possible. As the wedding festivities came to an end, a wave of guilt washed over him. He could not shake the feeling that he needed to reach out to Adesewa, even if it was just for a brief moment. The thought of her still holding on to the past while he had moved on felt like a betrayal to him. Later that day, Adedapo found a quiet moment to explain everything that had happened between him and Adesewa to Eric. As he shared the details of their past and the emotional turmoil he felt after seeing her at the wedding, Eric listened intently, his surprise evident. "I can't believe you two have such a history," Eric said, shaking his head in disbelief. "You need to reach out to her. Here, take her hotel information and her phone number." He handed Adedapo the details, encouraging him to make the connection. The next morning, Adedapo stood outside Adesewa's hotel room, his heart pounding with anticipation. He took a deep breath and knocked on the door. Moments later, it cracked open, revealing Adesewa. She looked shocked and exhausted, her eyes wide as she took in the sight of him standing there. "Adedapo," she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. "Can we talk?" he asked gently. Adesewa's tears streamed down her cheeks like a river of sorrow. As she faced Adedapo, her voice trembling with anguish, "I waited 13 years, hoping you would come back to fulfill your promise. But here you stand, a married man. What have I done to deserve this heartache?" Her voice broke, and a bittersweet smile mixed with her tears escaped her lips. "If I had not been invited to your wedding, I might still be waiting for a man who would never return, clinging to a dream that was never meant to be." Adedapo's heart shattered at her words, each syllable piercing through him like a dagger. "I am sorry, I am so sorry," he said, his voice barely a whisper, filled with the weight of his regret. But even as he spoke, he knew his words felt empty against the depth of her pain. "I never meant to hurt you. I thought," his voice trailed off, The realization that no explanation could mend the heart he had broken. "I thought you had moved on," he finally managed to say, desperation creeping into his tone. Adesewa's eyes flashed with a mix of disbelief and awe. "Moved on? After everything we shared? You think I could just move on? You think it's that easy?" Her voice rose with emotion, raw and unfiltered. "I am sorry if I ever hurt you, but please forgive me." Exhaustion washed over her and she looked at him, her heart heavy with the weight of their history. "I have forgiven you, but please just get out of my sight forever. I wish you a happy married life." As Adedapo opened his mouth to respond, she shouted, "Get out!" The door slammed shut with a finality that echoed in the silence that followed, leaving Adesewa standing alone in the dim light of the room. Once the door closed, the dam within her broke. Adesewa wept bitterly, the sound of her sobs filling the empty space around her. Each tear felt like a pieces of her heart shattering, memories flooding back with each breath. She thought of her friends who had tried to lift her spirit, her father's stern advice, her mother's gentle comfort, and all the men she had turned down, believing that true love was worth the wait. It felt as if the ground should swallow her whole, the weight of her grief pressing down like a heavy stone. But amidst the suffocating sorrow, a flicker of determination ignited within her. She knelt on the floor, her heart aching, and turned to God, seeking solace in the darkness. "Please," she cried out, her voice raw and desperate, "help me heal. Help me find the strength to move on from this love that has consumed me for so long." In that moment of vulnerability, as she poured out her heart, she felt a glimmer of hope amidst the pain. It was a small spark, but it reminded her that even in her darkest hour, she was not alone. She wept and prayed, surrendering her heartache to a higher power, the power in the name of Jesus, longing for the courage to rebuild her life, one step at a time. The following day, Adesewa returned home carrying the weight of her heartache. She sat down with her mother and shared everything that had happened with Adedapo, tears streaming down her face. Her mother held her close, offering comfort and encouragement. "You are stronger than you realize, my dear. It's time to reclaim your joy." Determined to heal, Adesewa reached out to her friends, especially Pelumi, pleading for forgiveness. To her relief, Pelumi responded with warmth, ready to mend their friendship. As months passed, Adesewa focused on her passions and embraced the present, allowing herself to heal. A year later, she met her husband, the bone of her bone and flesh of her flesh. Their connection was instant, filled with laughter and shared dreams. On their wedding day, as she looked into his eyes, Adesewa felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. God had healed her completely, transforming her pain into a beautiful future. With her husband by her side, Adesewa stepped into a new life, filled with love and joy, proving that even the deepest wounds could heal, giving way to a love that was meant to flourish.
If you enjoyed the story, tell us what you learned in the comment section. Please like, don't forget to share with your friends and subscribe for more videos. Thank you for watching.